Holly is a very special young person. We thought it was imperative that we get her on, and so we're going to show you something that she was getting up to last year when she went out. I mean, this is it makes me jealous. I don't know about you.
Oh gosh.
Because she had an extraordinary opportunity to be hoisted up to an Ospreys nest at Loch. So just watch what Holly was getting up to last year.
Last year, I was invited to ring 2 osprey chicks at Loch with raptor expert Lewis Pate. At the time of the ringing, they were each about a month old. The nest had been built by volunteers at the top of a Caledonian pine tree with a live camera looking down into the nest. After walking to the base of the tree, we got kitted up at the bottom and prepared to climb it. It was, in the true Scottish fashion, very midgy. At the top, we could see right across to Loch Arkaig and the wooded slopes beyond. It was a very different scene to the treeless hills that stretch across much of Scotland, and despite the cold, cloudy day, it was absolutely stunning. It was such a magical moment when I first saw the chicks. They were a lot smaller than I thought they were going to be, and extremely beautiful, and they had these very big and very pointy talons, perfect for hunting fish. I took notes while Lewis did the measurements and ringed the chicks. They hadn't been named at the time, and afterwards it was decided that they were both female. They were eventually named Mally, after Glen Mally, where the nest is located, and Rannoch, after a Loch Arkaig volunteer. Mally fledged on July 20th, and Rannoch left the nest 1 week later. Ospreys are such iconic birds, and an integral part of Scotland's wildlife. Sadly, they became extinct in the UK during World War I due to relentless persecution from gamekeepers and egg collectors. 38 years later, they returned naturally to Scotland, with the first pair breeding at Lochgarten in the Cairngorms in 1954. There are now over 300 pairs of ospreys in Scotland, making this bird a true conservation success story. Knowing this makes my encounter with Mally and Rannoch even more special. It was an incredible experience to see these birds up close, and certainly one of the highlights of my time being an environmental campaigner.
Superb.
What an amazing experience.
I know.
Incredible.
I once had the privilege of climbing to a golden eagle's nest with the one and only legend of conservation, Roy Dennis, but I've never been up to an osprey like that.
What a fantastic thing for Holly to be able to do.
I know, and those chicks were just so close. She would have been able to smell them.
Oh, you'd love to have smelled them.
I'd love to have smelled an osprey. I'm very pleased to say that Holly is joining us live now. So my first question to her this morning is going to be, what did those ospreys smell like, Holly? You were so close to them, you must have been able to get a whiff.
I can say that I wasn't really focusing on the smell. I was more concerned about clinging on because we're about 20 or 30 meters up a tree. But they were actually incredibly clean birds. There's just a few smatterings of poop around, but I don't remember any distinct smell, actually. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, okay. Well, no, but yes, I can imagine that you were overwhelmed by the experience. So maybe next time round, get your nose into action. But that was truly fantastic, wasn't it? And did you know what's happened to those couple of ospreys when they since subsequently fledged?
No, because they weren't fitted with a satellite tracker or anything. They just had 2 rings on. JJO and J2. I can't quite remember. I can find out for you later. But if you see birds with those rings on, then that will be Mally and Rannoch from Loch Arkaig. No, we don't know where they've gone from the nest.
And what's happening at the nest this year? Because we've been watching ospreys down here in Poole Harbour. We've got a female which has turned up. I don't know if you've been watching too. Her male failed to arrive. She's actually subsequently now laid 2 infertile eggs. But what about those at Loch Arkaig?
Well, they're both back, the male Louis and the female Isla, and Isla is now brooding 3 eggs.